Hey, biology laboratory report due tonight. Hey guys, what's up? It is the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite movies, and today I'm going to do two more movie reviews in one video, and it's going to be great because the 2010s are almost over, and I need to watch as many great movies as possible so that I can wrap up the year. And here we go. I realized that there is a common in between these two movies, and that is both of these movies involve death, um, which is very unfortunate because recently uh, rapper singer Juice World passed away, as well as one of my elementary school classmate, which is very saddening. And we do live in mortifying times. Anyway, let's talk about the first movie that I watched, which is a movie that I watched like a few weeks before, actually a couple weeks before, and that is The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by David Fincher. So, I have recently talked about Gone Girl, and now I'm going to talk about this movie. And The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is actually an adaptation from a Swedish novel. And it is also a remake of a Swedish movie, which isn't as great as this movie at all. And since it's David Fincher, of course, you're expecting some really dramatic and dark crime drama, and dipped with a little bit of thriller, and you're expecting it to be good. And indeed, this is a good movie. Actually, this is one of the darker and edgier Fincher movies, in my opinion. It's very, very R-rated. I mean, I'm not gonna spoil much, but one of the main characters got anal raped, and on the next day, she anal raped the rapist back. Enough said. So if you're looking for some easygoing, lighthearted crime drama, this is definitely not for you. Basically, we have the main character, Mikael Bloomquist, who was accused of wrongfully accusing of another person of something illegal, so everybody hates him now. That other person is suing him. And then there's this really rich old guy who hired him as a detective to solve a 40-year-old murder case, because this old guy, played by Christopher Plummer, is in a family, and one of his family members was allegedly murdered, but actually disappeared 40 years ago. And so we have a very, very, very old murder case that's seemingly impossible. And then there's another character who is played by Rooney Mara, and she's this really messed up girl who looks very emo with the piercings and the black eyelashes. She's edgy, she's violent, she's crazy, and she's also super smart, and she hacks very well. And so this girl and Mikael Bloomquist worked together to solve the case, and that's basically the movie. So essentially, it is a whodunit movie, and it's actually pretty good. However, I don't like it as much as God Girl for two major reasons. Firstly, the first act is kind of slow and uneventful, while the pacing of Gone Girl is way more consistent. Also, another weird thing about this movie is that some characters are doing a Swedish English accent, and some characters are doing a straight up British English accent. And it's just weird because, this movie is actually a remake of a Swedish movie and also an adaptation of a Swedish novel. So most of the characters speak in a Swedish English accent and not very well. And then some major characters like Daniel Craig's character or Christopher Plummer's character, they're doing a full on English accent, which is kind of confusing and weird. But other than that, I think this movie is solid. First of all, of course, I have to admit, Rooney Mara's performance here is absolutely mind blowing. When I realized that it is Rooney Mara who's playing this character, I was shocked because we've never seen Rooney Mara like this before. I mean, she's always been this really pure, innocent, nice girl, and I'm sure she still is like that in real life, but the person she portrays in this movie is just the exact opposite. She's messed up in this movie, and I just admire the performance. Also, this is a really good movie, not only about solving a crime, but also about the relationship building between Mikhail Blomkvist and the other girl. And I think the score is, again, really fantastic because Trent Reznor is a legitimately good film composer. He's from Nine Inch Nails, by the way. Also, shout out to Atticus Ross. And comparing this movie with the Swedish original, this movie is way more well shot, and the subtleties and nuances in this movie are so much better than the original. Again, it's not perfect. There's another gripe that I have with this movie, and that is the plot twist, or more like the reveal of the murderer. It's actually kind of obvious. You can totally guess it from the start. But yeah, other than that, the third act is very thrilling, and I just really love the dark, edgy edge to the movie. The ending just kind of leaves itself hanging, and the fact that they didn't, David Fincher didn't continue with the second and third book just made it kind of a weird ending because usually if a movie ends this way, there's going to be a sequel, but David Fincher sort of didn't do any sequels. So it sort of leaves itself hanging, but still a majority of the movie is fantastic, and I am saying this movie is a movie worth watching, and I'm giving it a decent to strong 8 out of 10. Yeah. All right. Second movie that I'm going to be talking about is a Canadian-French movie, and that is Incendies. 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 I don't speak French. And it is directed by Denis Villeneuve. And Denis Villeneuve is one of the best directors of our generation, hands down. I mean, if Christopher Nolan decides to retire at some point, this guy's going to be holding the torch. But he has already made a lot of great movies already, like Blade Runner 2049, which is just not only is it visually stunning, not only is it epic, futuristic, but also transcendent and intelligent. Of course, we have Arrival, which is one of my favorite movies of 2016 because of how, again, intelligent it is, but also how well it reflects humanity and how it grabs our interest without any explosions and chases and fights, which actually contradicts with Sicario with a lot of fights and deaths, but the way Sicario builds tension is really impressive. And then, of course, we have Enemy and the Great Prisoners, starring Hugh Jackman. And before Incendies, he also did Polytechnique, another movie in French Canada. And now we have Incendies, which is also friggin' amazing. He just has a lot of classics on his belt. So this movie is essentially about a twin, a woman and a man, who are French Canadians but are of Middle Eastern ancestry. Their mother passed away, and in their mother's will, their mother said they have to find their father and long lost brother before they bury her. And so the Narwhal twins, they go to Middle East to look for their brother and their father. And wow, this movie is way more emotionally powerful than I have expected, and it's tragic. Honestly, it's tragic, and it's dark, and not like in an edgy aesthetic way, like the girl with the dragon tattoo, but tragic dark, like traumatic past kind of dark. This is essentially a finding film, like Lion with Dev Patel, or you can say Finding Nemo is a finding film, but this is another one of those finding films where uh, the main characters in the movie, they spend the entirety of the movie trying to find certain people, and at the end they found them, and in the process they learn a lot of things about their mother's past, and as they learn things about their mother's past, they realize that their mother's past is actually extremely tragic and full of ups and downs. Actually, more downs than up, because again, it's a tragic movie. It's messed up. It's dark, and because of that, this movie jumps back and forth all the time. We always jump back from and because of that, this movie jumps back and forth all the time when after we are in the present day with the Narwhal twins, we jump back to see more flashbacks from the twins' mother. And as the twins move along and start finding out more, we see more flashbacks concerning that information. So, their mother's past is slowly unraveled, and it is again very powerful, very emotional, and it just leaves such a strong impression in me. Not only does this movie hold the weight of war, we see I guess a civil war happening in an unnamed Middle Eastern country, and we just see how this war tear people apart, but we also see these tragic events and how they seriously affect people. And at the end of the movie, I just feel really, really bad for the twins. Also, the use of Radiohead in this movie is fantastic. Radiohead is my favorite band ever. And in the beginning of the movie, and in one of the scenes in the first act, they used You and Whose Army off of Amnesiac, and then later on in the movie, they also used Like Spinning Plates from the same album, and I just really love the appreciation for Radiohead, because Radiohead's music just give off such a beautiful, poetic, sad, painful feeling, which is gorgeous in my opinion. Now, yes, I know I know this video is long enough, but I'm gonna add a spoiler alert here because I would really like to talk about the twists and turns of Incendies. So if you haven't watched it, skip it. Skip till the end of the video to check out the score or look at the description. Okay, let's talk about spoilers. So, halfway in the movie, we realize that the twins, the Narwhal twins, are a result of rape. They weren't even the kids of of their mother and the person their mother loved, which is actually really obvious. Right from the start, we see their mother giving birth to a child, and it's just one child. It's not a twin. But later on, after we realize that, it's just tragic. And when they realized it, it was tragic for them as well. What's even more tragic is that later on, since their mother gave birth to a kid and they were separated, and then later on, their mother was captured and was raped in prison, and then their mother was pregnant and gave birth to twins. And later on in the movie, we have the 1 + 1 = 1 reveal, which is one of the most shocking and also disgusting reveal in most of the movies I've ever seen, where we essentially realize that the twins' father is also their half brother, and to find out that they're the product of incest rape is uh, just devastating. Honestly, I just feel really, really, really bad for them. And at the end, when they see him, when they see the guy, and they just looked at him, not saying anything. I just looked at him. It just holds so much weight. And when that guy realizes that he's the father of his half twins, sisters and brothers, he was devastated as well. And it just holds so much weight. And I just, uh, you know, it's not a really flashy or entertaining movie, but the plot itself is just um, it just hits really hard. Yeah, I also forgot to mention that this is actually an adaptation of a play written by a Lebanese Canadian. So it is fantastically adapted. Yeah, this movie is mind blowing, definitely, with the twists and turns, and I'm honestly giving it a light 9 out of 10. So, have you watched The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Incendies? From 1 to 10, how much did you rate them? Like if you like them, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. Yeah, it's a tragic video. I just said a lot of bad things in this video. It's